Okay, so before I start, I just want to say a little disclaimer. Obviously, I'm not like a movie reviewer or a film guru or anything like that. But tonight I was about to go to bed, and obviously, clearly, look at me, I wasn't prepared to really film this, but I'm a little disturbed, so I need to talk about it. Okay, so tonight I was gonna watch Barbie as Rapunzel, as a 20-year-old does when they're going to bed. And, it's my favorite Barbie movie ever. It has been ever since I was little, and it always will be, still to this day. But I noticed something different when I was watching it this time, and it kind of bothered me. So buckle yourselves up, because this is going to be a bumpy ride. So the movie basically starts and talks about how she lives in the tower. She's a young girl that's hidden in the tower, and Gothel traps her there. They don't really say how Gothel got her or what the whole story is. They cover it later in the movie, though, thankfully. So the scene opens. It shows her and her best two friends, and one is a dragon and one is a rabbit, typical. And they both speak. And Rapunzel is painting a picture of this beautiful beach. Looks like a professional did it. And for someone who's been locked in a tower and supposedly has never seen a beach, she did a pretty damn good job, I must say. So that's how it begins. We know she has two best friends that are talking animals. She's a girl that's trapped in a tower. And she loves to paint. Typical girl things, just girly things. So after she's done painting, she says, I'm going to walk around on a beach just like this one day, and it's going to be great. And then her bunny friend's ears start twitching, and he says, uh-oh, Gothel alert. Which means he's sensing Gothel, and she's on her way, and they better put the paint away, or it's going to be a mess. So then basically it shows Gothel riding in on a horse, through the woods, and it shows how she has to do this little magic thing to get past the magic wall. And Penelope says, go Rapunzel, go meet her at the door, I'll put your paint stuff away. And then Penelope turns, and then Penelope's dumbass knocks the paintbrushes over, and they're in a glass vase. But luckily for us, Hobie the rabbit saved the day, and he catches them right before they hit the floor. Literally, in the nick of time. See that? He on X Games mode. Then a bunch of stuff happens that's not really important to the story. Gothel gets home, Rapunzel greets her, asks her how her day was. Gothel's a bitch to her, typical Rapunzel-Gothel relationship. Then Gothel asks her if she did her chores for the day, and Rapunzel is like, yeah, I did all of them. And Gothel's like, what's this on your face? And she's like, oh shit. And she's like, oh, have you been painting again? And she's like, yeah, but I finished my chores. Then she steps on this squeaky stair, and Gothel's like, you did your chores? What the fuck is this? Why is the stair squeaking? This is your job. It's your job to know this shit. And Barbie's just like, shit, sorry, I'll do better next time. So we know that Gothel hates her painting. We don't really know why, but I think Gothel just hates anything that brings Rapunzel joy, TBH. So then Penelope comes in because Rapunzel's trying to start a fire up, and she goes, let me do it. And she goes, trying to be a dragon, light it on fire. A tiny little fireball comes out, lights it, barely. And then something falls backwards, and then everything just fucking falls. This bitch is so clumsy, just everything falls when she's around. A teacup goes flying in the air, and she finally catches it right before it hits the ground once again. Just when you think everything's okay, a spoon goes flying in the air, falls and lands on the nose of a gargoyle, and opens a mysterious staircase in the floor that somehow just years of living there no one knew about. Okay? So Rapunzel's dumbass says, there could be something amazing down there. Let's go. So her friends are like, dude, this is a bad idea. Like any good friend would. And she, dumbass bitch, just goes, I'm gonna go anyway. Bye. Fuck Gothel and her tea. I'm gonna go see what's in the basement. Okay, bitch, go ahead. Go on, go ahead. So Rapunzel goes down to the basement, goes, nobody's been down here in years, even though literally all the lights are on. Like, every single light in that basement is on. There's not dust on anything. She walks right over to this shelf and just, treasure chest, and just opens it. And it's just full of scrolls. No dust. And all the lights are on, but no one's been there in years. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we have down in the basement. Penelope the dragon finds this picture of Gothel and this man, supposedly. They never, in the entire movie, actually specify if that's who it was. But context clues would tell you it was Gothel and this mystery man. And then Rapunzel finds this box and opens it. And it's a hairbrush, and she goes, this is beautiful. And it says, constant as the stars above, always know that you are loved. To our daughter Rapunzel on her first birthday, love your mother and father. And she just takes this hairbrush. Like, I know it says your name on it, girl, but you could at least ask her something. Like, the movie goes on. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but basically she goes through these tunnels. She finds this village, and then she sees these girls, and these girls are trying to feed their horse, and they're going to go they found an apple tree, so they're going to go get them some apples, you know, and one of the girls falls in this hole that's like a really deep fucking hole, and now that I think about it, I don't remember them filling that hole ever in the movie. Just was full one day again. Suspicious. Anyway, so this girl is holding on to this root. You know, there's always that one root. She's holding on to the root, and Barbie's going, give me your hand. I know it's scary. Like, just give me your hand. And so Rapunzel saves this girl. She gives the apples to her horse named Botticelli. And her big brother comes over. His name's Stefan, and he's cute. And Rapunzel's like, okay, hey. And then back at the castle, Rapunzel's friend, Penelope, well, her dad gets all pissed off because she's been playing around with Rapunzel instead of, like, training to be a better dragon and tougher and better at flying and better at blowing fire. And he's kind of just a dick to her the whole time because she's not tough, and it's kind of, like, really fucked up. And no one really points it out, ever. But then Barbie and Stefan talk a little bit, and Stefan shares how his kingdom and the other kingdom are feuding because years ago Wilhelm stole something from his dad, and they never resolved it, ever. So Rapunzel's like, yeah, well, why don't they kings just talk like adults and work through the shit? And he's like, yeah, they try that, but for some reason it just won't work, ever. We don't know why. And I still don't know what he stole from him. Just never thought to ask my father what the other dude stole from him. Even though it was obviously a big deal if it was separating kingdoms like that. Did this dude just not ever know that his father was missing a daughter? Like, what? You just had a missing sister forever and you just didn't know? So then Stefan hears the kids bickering at each other, and he's like, oh, I better make sure my sisters are okay. I'll be right back. And he runs off. Then a clock tolls out of nowhere. They're literally in the middle of like a freaking grassy area with waterfalls and a bunch of trees, but a random clock just goes off, and Barbie goes, oh no, how did it get so late? And she runs back to leave without even waiting for Stefan to get back or saying goodbye or even just, hey, nice to meet you, or anything. Like, the freaking weasel, like, Gothel's pet weasel, hops by and sees Rapunzel and is like, and then Stefan looks back and she's gone, and she goes, I didn't even know her name. And the girls are like, where did she go? So then Rapunzel gets home, and she's telling her best friends all about the cute boys she met and the great time she had at the village and how nice everybody was. Then the weasel goes up to Gothel and goes, you'll never guess who I saw today in the village. And she's like, excuse me, who? And why would I care? And he's like, because I saw Rapunzel. And she's like, and he goes, and she was talking to a boy. And this bitch is like, I'm sorry, that's gonna ruin everything. What? And Rapunzel's like, he's the most handsome man I've ever seen. And Hobie's like, you've seen how many men? And I'm like, thank you, Hobie. Finally, someone pointing out the facts here that I've been asking all along. Gothel comes in and is like, bitch, I heard you had a fun time at the fucking village today. Okay, so who's this boy? What's his name? And Rapunzel's like, I actually don't know his name. And Gothel's like, okay, bitch, you're lying. What's his name? Like, tell me now. And she's like, no, I really don't know. So Gothel's like, fine, if you're gonna lie to me. Whoosh, uses her fucking magic powers, breaks all of Rapunzel's paints. Like, what's that gonna do? Just make her upset. That's not gonna fix anything. Okay, Gothel. Keep in mind, this isn't even the worst part yet. So Rapunzel goes, why are you doing this? You can't keep me locked here forever. And Gothel goes, really, bitch? Watch me. Shoop. And the tower grows like it does on the fucking Haunted Mansion. Gets huge. And there's no way for her to escape at this point. Which she didn't even sneak out of her window. So I don't know why she did that. Like, why didn't she just... Like, whoa, what is that gonna fix? That wasn't the problem. Then Gothel said, when I come back, I want a name. Maybe this alone time will help refresh her memory. Then she calls on Hugo, which is Penelope's dad, to come help her so she can leave. So a little bit later, it shows that Stefan's running around like crazy trying to find this girl that he met. No one in the palace can find her. Then she has this nightmare that the prince is like, Rapunzel, let your hair down. And lets the hair down. He climbs up it, and then Gothel's like, Mwah! And like, all this crazy shit happens. She wakes up, she's terrified, and she goes over to her hairbrush and reads it, and it says, constant as the stars above, always know that you are loved. Hugs it and goes, I'm gonna be free one day. And sets the brush down, and then she goes back to sleep, and some magic pixie dust shit happens, and the brush turns into a paintbrush. Fast forward to later, Penelope and Hobie are in the garden, and they're crushing up berries to make Rapunzel paint. They bring the paint to Rapunzel, and she ends up painting with the new magic paintbrush she finds, and she's like, I could have sworn this was a hairbrush. Okay. Then she takes it and paints on the wall, and for some reason it's magical, and she can walk through, and she goes back to the village, sees the prince again. He invites her to the ball. He goes to tell her his name, and she goes, don't tell me. It's better I don't know. Like, she tells him her name, though. And he's like, okay, I'll pick you up in my carriage and take you to the ball tonight. She goes, no, I'll just meet you there. And he's like, you're full of mysteries, but okay, I like it. I'll see you there. Then Penelope comes out running like a bat out of hell. Actually, her and Hobie have a little argument for a little bit, and she's like, I need to go save Rapunzel because Gothel's coming, and she'll hurt my dad if Rapunzel's not here. And Hobie's like, okay, then you need to fucking hurry, bitch. Like, she's like downstairs. She's like at the bottom of the staircase. And so she's trying to get her to go through the fucking portal, and this bitch is too scared. So finally, after about 3 minutes of you panicking, she finally gets through. She portals. She's right next to Rapunzel. Not even in the same place Rapunzel got out at. She's just right next to Rapunzel. And then Rapunzel is standing there with the prince, and he goes, beast! And he just pulls out a sword, you know, because people just carry those in their pockets. And she's like, no, that's my friend. And he goes, your friend's the dragon? And she's like, hey, don't call me that. And so then she's like, hey, Rapunzel, we really gotta fucking go. And she's like, okay, shit, I didn't know it was that important. Let's go now. She comes back. Basically, eventually, she gets got. Gothel finds out. Gothel comes in and finds her getting ready for the ball, because Hobie was a little snitch and told. And she has her hair all beautiful. She has a gown all beautiful. She's about to go to this ball. So Gothel comes in, slices her hair, does a little spell, and says, never let a prisoner out of here with a lying heart. Then she takes Rapunzel's hair that she cut off, puts it on like a wig. I guess she's really good at making wigs. Didn't know that. Really would have been cool to know in the beginning of the movie, but okay. But then she shows up with a mask on, so she looks like Rapunzel from the back, not the front, because she's an old fucking wench. A mask couldn't cover that. Those wrinkles, honey, please. I know. Penelope goes, Dad, I know you're not going to listen to me, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Rapunzel never lied, and she came back to save you. So you've been being an asshole to her for no fucking reason, because she's been covering your ass, so you didn't die. And all of a sudden, this makes the dad that's such a dick the whole movie have a change of heart like that. And he's like, wow, amazing. let's save Rapunzel. And he goes, you never lied, so you can come out. And she comes out, and he goes, you know what, Penelope? It was in you all along. You're a tough dragon, and you can fly over that wall, even though you couldn't even fly 10 feet earlier. So, Rapunzel on her back and all, she flies with Hobie, too, over this wall and to the freaking palace. And you look at the palace, it like flashes over to it, and Gothel's like shooting shit at the prince, like trying to kill him and shit. And finally it shows them all in the ballroom, and Gothel's like about to fucking kill everybody. Rapunzel comes in and is like, Gothel, you better stop. And then the other king is like, oh my gosh, Gothel, I haven't seen you in years. Stefan's like, you know this wench? And he's like, yes, for the longest time we were friends. And Gothel goes, friends? You were in love with me. And he goes, no, I wasn't. And she's like, exactly, that's why I'm doing this. And basically tells him she kidnapped his daughter Rapunzel, and she's locked away and he'll never find her. And we find out that Rapunzel's his daughter. And Rapunzel comes in and fixes everything, you know, stops Gothel and the Weasel. It wasn't Wilhelm. So peace is restored amongst the kingdoms, right? Everything's peachy, everything's great. Fast forward to the end of the movie. Barbie's talking to Kelly, and she goes, key word. Rapunzel and Stefan lived happily ever after. Okay, here's the part that I realized that has me fucked all the way up. Okay. Stefan is the prince. Yeah, which means he's the son of the king. Because that's how princes work. Rapunzel is the daughter of the king, and Gothel stole her. Which would mean Stefan and Rapunzel are siblings? And they figured that out and still lived happily ever after. Now, I know this was some old-timey shit, but they didn't make this movie in the old times. The movie was set in old times. They made this movie in, like, 2002. So, why are Barbie and her brother married? Why are they spending happily ever after together? Even if they had different moms, okay? They'd still be half-siblings. All my sisters are half-siblings with me. That's fucking weird, dude. Barbie supports incest, and am I still gonna continue to watch that movie and quote it? You bet your ass. But am I still going to acknowledge that it's wrong that she marries her brother in the end? Every single time. So it's the next morning, and I'm sober. And upon further investigation, I've realized that Barbie might have just been from the other kingdom. They probably weren't even actually related. And that makes a lot more sense.